My name is Javier Hernandez, and I am an Atlassian Technical Account Manager located in Austin, Texas. Thank you for joining us today to talk about our data center offerings. During this webinar, I'll briefly introduce you to our data center offerings, how they differ from our server offerings, and what considerations you need to take when deciding if you should stay on server or make the move to data center. I'll close by going through two examples of data center deployments that go beyond the basic installation. So, let's begin. In the beginning, Atlassian products were only available to be deployed as single server application. Whether it was deployed on a physical server in a virtual environment or on AWS, deployments are generally comprised of an application server running one of our products, like Jira, Bitbucket, or Confluence, alongside a database. This simplicity meant that you can get off the ground running fairly quickly. Your team, your organization, could begin using the tools with little, if any, long-term planning. But while the single server installation may be great to get started with, teams and organizations are often faced with the challenge of keeping their systems ahead of the pace of growth. Sure, you can add resources to your current instance to help address performance concerns, but at some point you'll hit an upper limit and your strategy needs to evolve beyond increasing memory or CPU on your single server. But for the sake of argument, let's just assume that you can add resources endlessly to your system so that it, as I tell my clients, never rattles in the rack. So then if performance is a concern, what about redundancy? What happens when you have a complete failover? Does your plan to have a beefy system account for complete loss of operation? A single server instance works great until it doesn't. When you have an outage, either planned or unplanned, somebody somewhere on your team feels the pain. Whether it is end users who are trying to use the system or one of your admins who is trying to bring the system back up, downtime is never ideal. As more and more of your teams begin to use your instance, you will need to scale along with your growth. With server, you're limited to your ability to scale a single server through adding resources to just that server. But as your usage grows, usage patterns will change, peak times will increase from just one day per week to multiple times throughout the week. Your ability to scale to meet the demand goes beyond adding memory and CPU and definitely needs to include minimal, if any, downtime. Undoubtedly, as usage spreads and the teams begin to form their own processes and procedures for delivering work, teams will want their own way of doing things. While we're not going to be talking about system governance today, having a lack of rules and procedures for managing your instances can have sometimes immediate adverse effects on your system. And when the system begins to slow or seems too clunky, people will find a way to continue working. That may mean creating their own one-off instances that only a subset of users will use. And when that instance becomes too slow and clunky, the cycle continues on and on. At some point, the overhead of each team managing their own instance, from infrastructure to configuration to administration, becomes too costly and too time-consuming to continue without a unified strategy within your company. This is